So every data analyst journey usually starts with one question: Python or SQL? And everybody has a strong opinion about it. But today, I'm gonna settle it. So if you're new, my name is Zazo. I'm currently a senior data analyst and I've been working in data analytics for 4 years. And previously I worked in software engineering for 4 years. So I have almost a decade of tech knowledge. So I can definitely see the fight for both sides. However, you might be surprised on what the answer actually is. So one of the key things, and I know that many people are really worried about when trying to get into data analytics, is learning the right thing. I mean, we all are. The most important thing is time. And I know that everybody wants to save time. So that's why I'm making this video and giving you the real on what is necessary to get you hired. Because learning the wrong thing can slow your whole journey down immensely. And most boot camps won't give you an answer because they're normally trying to sell you both. So the goal of this video is to give you an experience-based answer with key points on why you should learn one over the other. Let's get into it. So in order to make this decision or kind of explain why this decision makes sense, I need to go over both of them and kind of explain what they do and what are the things that are needed to learn each. So the first one is SQL. It's basically built for speaking to databases. It's also known as structured query language. That's what SQL stands for. And every company that you go to will store data in a database. That's what makes SQL so important. And it's kind of like a universal querying language. You'll use it to pull, filter, aggregate data, join data, and all types of different functions like this. And the learning curve for this is relatively low. It's decently quick to kind of pick up at least the basics for what you need. And it's very readable and pretty close to plain English. So now I'm gonna get into Python. Python is a general purpose programming language. So it's not only used for data, if that makes sense. It can be used for data cleaning, automation, machine learning, and visualizations, and a whole lot more. I speak to this because, like I said, I did come from a software engineering background. So Python has a whole wide array of things you can do with it. So the scope is very broad on what it can be used for, which is definitely a strength, but can also be a big challenge. Python definitely has a steeper learning curve, and there's definitely a lot more concepts to grasp before you can actually start being productive with it. So now I'm gonna go into the 2 reasons on why most people want to learn SQL, and then I'll go into top reasons of why, or some of the cases of why people want to learn Python first. All right, so SQL is literally, like I said, a universal language for querying databases. So it's actually very important for data, because how are you gonna get the data in the first place? And every data analyst job requires it. You can go onto any job posting and you're gonna see SQL on there. It's just a must. You'll use SQL pretty much day one and throughout your career in data analytics, no matter what company you go to. It's the fastest path on being able to hit the ground running and really start to being productive very early on. It's relatively easy to learn, and you can go from like 0 to start pulling actual insights and different things and playing around with databases in less than a week. So I'm gonna be real right here, and most data analytics work, especially for juniors, is probably gonna be 70% SQL. Most of the time you are doing very basic stuff. You will be pulling reports, you will be pulling data, and you will be doing all types of smaller query pulls or types of reports. So SQL will be a big part of what you do. And you can answer real business questions right off the bat, which makes you more productive and have a higher impact initially than learning something like Python from the beginning. So now everything's not doom and gloom about Python. So I'm gonna get into some cases on why you might wanna learn Python first. So Python is very versatile, and there's a lot of different things that you can do with it. And it can go beyond just basic analytics, which makes it very shiny. It's that Ferrari or that Lambo or whatever you're into. It's kind of that. Whereas SQL is more of that Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic, good old reliable, will get you from point A to point B. Python is the complete opposite when it comes to data analytics. It's the Ferrari, the Lambo, the Maybach, the whatever you want to say. All right, it's fancy and I get it. And if you're someone like me that transferred from software engineering, Python might just feel more natural to you. So Python is very good at being able to clean up messy and unstructured data sets, because normally a lot of that stuff you can programmatically be able to set logic in order to clean a lot of this stuff very quickly. There's a lot of different packages you could use, like pandas and numpy, to be able to manipulate data very quickly. There's a bunch of different things on where you can automate certain scripts in order to do the same thing over and over and over again. Like I said, it's definitely more fancy and there's a lot more that you can do with it, but that learning curve is pretty steep. So Python definitely makes you more complete and well-rounded in data analytics for the long term. And especially if your goal is to be a data scientist or an ML engineer or anything like that, then Python is going to be a must. And what I do hear about this argument, so the case for learning Python first, is that some argue that Python actually builds a good programming foundation first. So if you want to think about it as taking a harder route, so that way when you take the easy route, it just seems that much easier. All right, so now I'm gonna give you my honest answer of what you should learn first, especially if you're new, career switching, or anything like this. You should learn SQL first. There's really no debate. I know a lot of people will feel strongly about learning Python first, but I'm gonna explain to you why. SQL will get you hired faster. Like I said, you become productive off the bat. You're able to start doing the job immediately with just SQL. It's literally in every job description that you'll look up on whatever job board you're on. And if you don't, it's sus. So SQL is everywhere in analytics. Even the stuff I talked about, like data science, data engineering, and that type of thing, SQL is still in there somewhere. So it's better to learn SQL. It's normally pretty easy compared to Python. So you can really start hitting the ground running sooner with SQL alone. And Python without SQL is kind of like driving that nice sports car that you just got down a dirt road and there's like no gravel. So you're literally just kicking up those rocks, you know what I mean? And slowly that baby's getting dinged and scratched. So let me put it this way. You got your Ferrari and you got no road to drive it on. That's essentially what Python is. Because you can do data manipulation and all of that, but you don't, how are you gonna get the data first? Usually you have to get the data first before you can manipulate it. That's where SQL comes in. So SQL is your answer. Now I can see the counter arguments. Someone like myself, coming from software engineering background, you already know Python or you already know the way of programming, therefore you learn Python, then add SQL to it. I can see it. However, if you are new getting into the field, SQL first. But I know I'm saying this and the goal is not SQL over Python. In theory, I mean, in actuality, it is SQL and Python. This will make you such a tool or asset to whatever company you go to if you have both of them. But if you have to pick one, and which one you should pick first to hit the ground running is always going to be SQL. Now I'm going to give you my recommended learning path on how to do this. So the first thing is SQL. Week 1 through 6, focus on just SQL. Select joins, group bys, where clauses. Those are the things you want to initially focus on. You practice on real data sets. You can grab data sets from Kaggle. Once again, this is not to necessarily build any project that will get you hired, but just to get you familiar with SQL. You want to be able to build at least one project with SQL and be able to answer business questions with that project just using SQL. The next thing you're going to want to do is learn Python. So from weeks 7 to 14, you start learning Python. The first thing you're going to need to do is learn variables, loops, conditions, and functions in Python. These are going to be the foundation, at least for data analytics, that you'll really need to know before hopping in. Then after that, you want to dive into pandas or data manipulation. It comes with a lot of different methods that make data manipulation easier for specifically data analytics. So then after that, you want to connect Python to a SQL database using something like SQL Alchemy and being able to kind of play around there and get more familiar with the Python programming language. And then the goal after that is to automate something that you're doing manually in Excel or in SQL. And then phase 3, which is going to be after the 15 weeks and beyond, you're going to want to combine both, and you're going to want to start doing stuff with both. Use SQL to pull data and then use Python to manipulate it, visualize it, and things like that. Build a portfolio project with both of them, and then you start becoming a dangerous data analyst. So here are some common mistakes to avoid. Do not try to learn them both at the same time because you will become very broad in your knowledge rather than deep. I recommend start building immediately with these different tools and don't just read or do any of the type of theory. Jump in, start experimenting with these languages. It's how you're going to learn the best. The next one is going to be skipping SQL just because Python is fancier. It's that new sports car. Don't make this mistake. You're going to have to learn SQL anyway. Okay, so you can skip it, but you'll have to go back eventually, at least if you want to get hired. If you just want to play around with some Python, do you. And please do not copy tutorials and just walk through without understanding what's actually being done. Once again, like the last point I just made, you're just gonna have to go back and do the same thing over again to actually get the understanding. Don't wait until you feel ready to learn these things, just learn by doing. Literally just do it, even if you feel dumb, whatever. We all go through this. I still Google SQL queries on a daily basis for something simple, all right? So don't worry about it. Well, I should say I use AI. But if you don't have a job, you need to learn the foundations first. Just saying. So now I'm gonna recap this whole video in a small, short, little area. SQL and Python are both essential to data analytics. SQL, you're going to want to learn first. It's universal for any database. It's easier to learn and it'll make you hireable faster. Python is second because it extends some of the stuff that SQL can do and makes things fancier, speeds up stuff, optimizes things. It's kind of just the cherry on top, whereas SQL is the milkshake, the cake, the whatever, and then Python is the cherry on top. And obviously the ultimate goal is to have both of them in your tool belt and being able to use them both on the job. So if you're trying to start from zero right now, leave me a comment. Let me know where you're currently at. Love, peace, and chicken grease. I'll see you on the next one.